it look if me did over here so. Or if me did over there so, and see we are going over there so. Me nah go over there. A man could have tell me about Jah little more, I just last a little more. If me did over there so, me nah go over there. Because I'm going to say there was the difference. When you're different, when you walk with a little a Rasta daughter, who said she a Rasta, and when you look on how she stay. I'm going to hear somebody say, when you walk with you something like some little long frock, and it's like, no, and I talk about no long frock, you know, me I say, oh, the dancehall girl, them know how to dress for go a dance. Them dress, how them a go a dance. So how come no Rasta woman look like them always a go a dance too? How them always look like them a go a dance too? How them never look like them a go a Rasta function? We not talk about no morals and no where people that want to say keep down no woman, because I know that, but keep down woman and all them something there. And morals and where you put, you know, to show this and, you know, this and this and that. No, we are talking about a cultural expression where Rasta come with. Just like how dancehall come with a cultural expression. And the dancehall man, them keep it in them culture. Them have a little cup in them hand. Them a drink Hennessy or rum early morning, and them a roll spit in them finger, them a push it in them hand niggle. Them have on the tight pants with the little slippers. We have on the little lightning light. Them are going to fly away, and them have tattoo all over them skin, and marina with them pants draw down, and them underpants up, and them locks twist up. That a dancehall culture, hip hop style. And now me see the Rasta them take over that style, you know, so want to our thing, where we create, originate. And we did create that, we originate that. The black art man, we know the boy right now, a terrible and dreadful warrior, where we are looking for freedom and liberation from colonialism and slavery, will still exists. Still exists. I mean, I tell a man, say, no, for God dance. Because madness is me go talk with me, I'm not righteous man. You know, see, we go anywhere we want to go. Anywhere. We not a man, we just go to church. We don't know that. We go anywhere. We travel over all the world, and some place where we go. Unbelievable. But me I say, warm to the culture, the Rastafari culture, the liberty of Rastafari. When it come with Haile Selassie. When we say Haile Selassie, we never just say it from our heart. We express it. We express it. It's not just some in your heart. Like a man that talk about Rasta in your heart. What a madness about Rasta in your heart. Rasta in which heart? Your heart is your pump blood. Warm to the time when Rastafari come with certain liberty. Where that gone. Because them man, they have them liberty. Them a ring round ganja in them hand niggle. Them have a cup all the while. Because I'm a brethren thing, like a man took up the other day, I'm not telling you, say, every youth in there have a cup in them hand with rum. All the lax man them. I couldn't believe it. Then I start make my cry now and I say, give me my cup, me want a cup, because I feel out of place, now I just take a cup. I just take a cup. And a man said, you don't want a rum in them. I said, no, me alright with the cup. Every man in the place have a cup in him hand with rum in there, including the man them in there with locks. That me I say, wow, me back at time. I say, man, I'm going to say, Muta, you're back at time, man. I was still living at them little food pass thing there. That's why they call the people them down for cult. And the same thing, they call the people them down for cult, because the people them take the Bible, and me not agree with the Bible, but the people them read the Bible and live, according to the Bible, and hardcore people who say them a Christian can't accept that. Even though them say them a Christian. Because them see somebody come down and tell them, say, boy, right now, you say if you do something wrong and you say period and this and that and you must shave your head and don't go near this and don't go near that. That's in the Bible, you know. It's in the Bible. Don't talk about no Jesus, it's Yahweh and all them something. It's in the Bible. But guess what? The man who did that talk about him a Christian all the while, you know. When him see that, you know, that looks so extreme to him. That him start to say him a lick out against that. But I really saw him should have live if him say him a Christian. Or if him say him a Jew, I saw him should have live. Because them live for them way. When them a go for them church, them dress a certain way and go a certain way. But now, anything goes, anything goes. When my relative son dead couple months ago, and me go at the funeral, go down at what them call it, a dove cat, them call the place, dove cat. Was about 5 funeral I drive coming when me look there, a pure youth. You see when me see the youth them have anything in them hand, them have cup in them hand, and me I say what wait, it's a funeral this, you know. A funeral this. And when you hear a Vibes Cartel and play Vibes Cartel and play for the church door, you know, me I say, yo. Yeah, man, I tell you, the thing topsy-turvy. It mix up, confused. But you see me, you know, can't change again. I mean, just look on the thing, because I can't see it, you know, I understand it, you know, I understand where I'm going, you know. But, no, sir, dreadlocks not the Congo eye. And some me see the last Congo standing. And that me see the last Congo standing. And as me I say, it's not a righteous thing me I preach. I mean I preach neither, it's not a righteous thing. It's the preservation of a culture that define African people in this part of the world. That wake up a whole heap of people. But that me I preserve. You know, see, that me a preserve. You don't want to go over the other side, even though you go over there and you can see it, but you don't want to go over there and become part of that. That is another space. And me always wonder, how come you have some Rasta? You never see them on Rasta function yet. Never. No care why, you never see them on His Majesty anniversary, 2nd of November, coronation. You never see them on the 23rd of July, in birthday. You never see them the Battle of Adwa. You never see them, and nothing as pertaining to Rasta, nothing. If a conference of Rasta keep, you not see them come there. But make you hear a big dance with 5 sound system and ram up the place down so. And some skin out girl go down there and thing and I dead them there. And look more see them on stage. Rastafari. I tell you say him teach that drop out time out when them say that. Yeah man. And then the daughter them. Wow. It's amazing man. It's amazing. We just try to preserve the culture. We try open up the faculty for something where seem to be disappearing right in front of our eyes. That's why them talk about Afrobeat. Them talk about Afrobeat now. Over reggae, a dancehall. And you have the big artists them. Big artists them, youth. Some of them don't ever reach 30 yet. And who get 30 don't ever reach 35 yet. When them ready to tell you who your mother, which part of your mother to go do this to her, and when them a show you about them gun and pose with them gun and sing about who them go kill and this and that. And look how much things are going on in Jamaica. And a man still sing them song there. And I say, boy, that bust him out there. And look how much things are going on in Jamaica. And a youth, big man, over 20, a big man. 18 you can vote and 18 you get locked up and charged for crime where, you know, see it like a 10-year-old will charge for as an adult. For 18 them say you're adult. So 20-year-old man a sing about murder and kill man and all them something there. And look we're going to Jamaica. Look we're going to Jamaica. Why you don't want to sing that? Why you don't want to put that on a vinyl and put that on YouTube where you know can't come off? Why you don't want to do that? It's lack of what is lack of what? It's lack of family. Lack of what? Why a man want to do that in a this time yeah? I'm not talk about in a next time, in a this time yeah. In a country like Jamaica where every day you get up you hear a man kill somebody get killed. Why you don't want to put it on record? I'll say you just sing about we are going. Why you don't want to sing about, I mean, really and truly? Why you don't want to do that? What is the purpose? That it will get played by some little person like you and then you get big by getting whole heap of show to go sing the same madness that you can buy a BMW or throw up and your friend them say you can buy 10,000 back like NNC and all them something there and you go a party and a flex and all them something there. What is that? What is that? I mean I tell you if you go to church, I tell you say it hard to tell a youth say it will go in vain because you realize say you see the problem is not even that man gets so woman and drunk, you know. The problem is that it go with all gun too. You see? It's like my thing is that you sing all of the nastiness about woman and them things there, but when me hear you think about the gun and kill this and murder this and them things, I say, what the hell is wrong with this youth? It's where this come from. Where this murder music come from. Man look on Lil Wayne, millions of dollars Lil Wayne make. He want to be like Lil Wayne, so he put all sort of thing. Lil Wayne is a little idiot. He's a little idiot who have enough money. I feel say because he have enough money and him circle himself with a whole gunman, him is invincible, and that is what catch a whole heap of them youth now. Invincible. Them feel say them invincible. Cannot be touched. And we know them can be touched. I don't get the picture. Because when we are youth and we are bad and we are bad. Our little badness are just our little badness are what? We used to do bad. School. Look whole heap of girls and all them thing there. The girl thing, we have whole heap of girl and go a party and all them something there. But them man you have, them not gone to school, them out school, was the first thing. Cause when I was 20 years old, I whole heap of my poem them I read now. And when I a teenager, I write them poem there. When I a teenager, I write them poem there. I know I see the poem them all over the world. Teenager, where when we go to certain place, the people them I say, a your poem them we listen to, and it inspire we. We go to Africa, we go to Zimbabwe, we go to South Africa, and we hear. I mean, when Winnie Mandela go in our house and take out the CD to come sign, me so glad to see her, and she didn't more glad to see me that. Me I say, wow. Me never see, I mean, hear about this woman, I well want to meet the woman, and she hear about me, I well want to meet me too, and friendship there, so you go to Zimbabwe, the whole soldier, them used to run up and down in the bush, them see you come out of them country, them run, come to you, and I say, yeah, Them way with their Europe, the African, them say them go back to them country because them use black wire sing what it no good to see in a white man country too long. And when me a teenager, I write them something there, and it still a serve me now. Everything with me have, a them poem they give me it. I me never falter to say boy right now. Yes, you know, me go with the times and go with the flow because we have a vision. We have a vision. We are living here to whole life to African redemption, African people, and ourselves. What is the purpose? What is your purpose? When you make a murder song about kill this and then you go tell a man about lollipop and mother and all them something. You tell a man, I mean, how we go there so? How we reach there so? How we get there tell them something there? To just normally just say that. It almost like, it's like a crime to me. It's like a crime if a man really look for the next man and tell him that. The first time would have never said that out of your mouth. You have to that and you're sorry, so you say that to a man. You know, but now that just normal. It's just not all woman me hear say it. I mean, I have some things upon my WhatsApp where people have sent me that. I say, but wait, how people attack the people so? Oh, nobody not. Oh, nobody not lock up nobody for that. And shoot them. Because they say it reach to you know. Because if you go tell a man that, it's not normal Jamaican words them where we can use in many ways. It's a normal thing, you know, like everybody say it. Policeman say it, soldier man say it, parson say it. But if you go tell a man about the mother rasta and you don't feel no way and you repeat it in a 3 seconds, the most of the time you say it. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Anyway, Coaching Age on RFM, I want to go to Jamaica Roots and Culture. We had found this bridge now, we can't get him on the phone. I want that's where I go on. Alright, here we go.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. We'll look at the history of Jamaican sweets and confectionaries. To tell the story of traditional Jamaican sweets, our journey begins under the blistering hot sun of a Jamaican sugar plantation and ends in the gritty urban streets and picturesque country markets of today's Jamaica. The commercial production of sugar cane in the British Isles changed the world's diet, which created a sugar boom and fueled the demand for a regular supply of slaves, which would continue until legislation was passed for the abolition of slavery in the British West Indies in 1833. Simultaneously, within the plantation system, a whole new world of possibilities opened in the kitchens, the slave yards, and the brick ovens of Creole and slave society. To address this era from a culinary perspective, we must examine the fact that coexisting side by side were two completely different worlds, parallel realities that had different interpretations of the same ingredients, resulting in a variety of manifestations or versions of the same sweet treats. So we developed sweet treats that were comprised of whatever was available, the basic ingredients of which were always the same: sugar, molasses, wet sugar, brown or white, nuts, seeds or fruits, peanuts, cashews, sesame seeds, coconut, tamarind, and spices. The variety, the flavors, and the names that we call Jamaican sweets are as colorful, vibrant, and unique as the Jamaican women who make them. Names like wangla, a sesame seed cake, pinda cake, gizada or pinch me round, chip chip or cut cake, grater cake, and tulum. In one of the earliest known publications on Jamaican cookery, some interesting insights were given about how commonplace local ingredients were put to use in both the plantation kitchen and the native kitchen. In fact, it is the presence, or in some cases, lack of some of these ingredients in early versions of certain sweet treats that is the most telling. Some recipes were passed down orally, mother to daughter, hand to hand in Jamaican kitchens, and largely explains their dying popularity and demise of this type of candy making as a local cultural tradition in the Jamaica of today. In Jamaica of the mid-1800s, the production, sale, and consumption of local sweet treats, both rustic and unrefined, was commonplace and a part of the fabric of local villages, rural towns, and most importantly, the big city of Kingston. With full freedom in 1838 and the birth of the Jamaican entrepreneur, women took the lead. Sugar was available and it was cheap. Coconuts were abundant, ginger and nutmeg could be farmed, and thus began the life of the Jamaican candy seller. While the men stayed home and farmed on the land they captured, creating small mountain communities, the women took to the streets with their produce and headed to the market to sell. And sell they did, and they were prepared to walk as far and as wide as they had to hawk and peddle their ware. And we close this edition of Jamaican Roots and Culture with some words of wisdom from a Jamaican proverb. Black Betty a bun, but chuar color you nah see it. Black Betty is burning, but because of her color you cannot see it. This means some people endure much pain and suffering without exposing their true feelings. Black Betty a bun, but chuar color you nah see it. For Jamaican Roots and Culture, I'm Pat Clark.
Full moon so bright, tropical delight. Happy native dancing, morning, noon and night.
Yeah, that was Pat Clark with Jamaica Roots and Culture. We want to play this for the people, them. It's something that we play all the while, but we see that just like how we play music all the while, and sometimes you hear rap play the same tune every week and them thing there. It's so we want to play some of these talking like how we play the music. Here we go. This is African sister. I talk about the danger of the single story. The danger of the single story. Listen. Here we go.
I'm a storyteller, and I would like to tell you a few personal stories about what I like to call the danger of the single story. I grew up on a university campus in eastern Nigeria. My mother says that I started reading at the age of 2, although I think 4 is probably close to the truth. So I was an early reader, and what I read were British and American children's books. I was also an early writer. And when I began to write at about the age of 7, stories in pencil with crayon illustrations that my poor mother was obligated to read, I wrote exactly the kinds of stories I was reading. All my characters were white and blue-eyed. They played in the snow. They ate apples. And they talked a lot about the weather, how lovely it was that the sun had come out. Now, this despite the fact that I lived in Nigeria, I had never been outside Nigeria. We didn't have snow, we ate mangoes, and we never talked about the weather because there was no need to. My characters also drank a lot of ginger beer because the characters in the British books I read drank ginger beer. Never mind that I had no idea what ginger beer was. And for many years afterwards, I would have a desperate desire to taste ginger beer. But that is another story. What this demonstrates, I think, is how impressionable and vulnerable we are in the face of a story, particularly as children. Because all I had read were books in which characters were foreign, I had become convinced that books, by their very nature, had to have foreigners in them and had to be about things with which I could not personally identify. Now, things changed when I discovered African books. There weren't many of them available, and they weren't quite as easy to find as the foreign books. But because of writers like Chinua Achebe and Kamara Laye, I went through a mental shift in my perception of literature. I realized that people like me, girls with skin the color of chocolate, whose kinky hair could not form ponytails, could also exist in literature. I started to write about things I recognized. Now, I loved those American and British books I read. They stirred my imagination. They opened up new worlds for me. But the unintended consequence was that I did not know that people like me could exist in literature. So what the discovery of African writers did for me was this. It saved me from having a single story of what books are. I come from a conventional middle-class Nigerian family. My father was a professor. My mother was an administrator. And so we had, as was the norm, living domestic help who would often come from nearby rural villages. So the year I turned 8, we got a new houseboy. His name was Fide. The only thing my mother told us about him was that his family was very poor. My mother sent yams and rice and our old clothes to his family. And when I didn't finish my dinner, my mother would say, "Finish your food. Don't you know people like Fide's family have nothing?" So I felt enormous pity for Fide's family. Then one Saturday, we went to his village to visit. And his mother showed us a beautifully patterned basket made of dyed raffia that his brother had made. I was startled. It had not occurred to me that anybody in his family could actually make something. All I had heard about them was how poor they were, so that it had become impossible for me to see them as anything else but poor. Their poverty was my single story of them. Years later, I thought about this when I left Nigeria to go to university in the United States. I was 19. My American roommate was shocked by me. She asked where I had learned to speak English so well and was confused when I said that Nigeria happened to have English as its official language. She asked if she could listen to what she called my tribal music and was consequently very disappointed when I produced my tape of Mariah Carey. She assumed that I did not know how to use a stove. What struck me was this. She had felt sorry for me even before she saw me. Her default position toward me as an African was a kind of patronizing, well-meaning pity. My roommate had a single story of Africa, a single story of catastrophe. In this single story, there was no possibility of Africans being similar to her in any way, no possibility of feelings more complex than pity, no possibility of a connection as human equals. I must say that before I went to the US, I didn't consciously identify as African. But in the US, whenever Africa came up, people turned to me, never mind that I knew nothing about places like Namibia. But I did come to embrace this new identity, and in many ways I think of myself now as African, although I still get quite irritable when Africa is referred to as a country, the most recent example being my otherwise wonderful flight from Lagos 2 days ago, in which there was an announcement on the Virgin flight about their charity walk in India, Africa, and other countries. So after I had spent some years in the US as an African, I began to understand my roommate's response to me. If I had not grown up in Nigeria, and if all I knew about Africa were from popular images, I too would think that Africa was a place of beautiful landscapes, beautiful animals, and incomprehensible people fighting senseless wars, dying of poverty and AIDS, unable to speak for themselves, and waiting to be saved by a kind white foreigner. I would see Africans in the same way that I, as a child, had seen Fide's family. This single story of Africa ultimately comes, I think, from Western literature. Now here's a quote from the writing of a London merchant called John Locke, who sailed to West Africa in 1561 and kept a fascinating account of his voyage. After referring to the black Africans as beasts who have no houses, he writes, "They are also people without heads, having their mouths and eyes in their breasts." Now, I've laughed every time I've read this, and one must admire the imagination of John Locke. But what is important about his writing is that it represents the beginning of a tradition of telling African stories in the West. a tradition of sub-Saharan Africa as a place of negatives, of difference, of darkness, of people who, in the words of the wonderful poet Rudyard Kipling, are half devil, half child. And so I began to realize that my American roommate must have, throughout her life, seen and heard different versions of this single story. As had a professor who once told me that my novel was not authentically African. Now, I was quite willing to contend that there were a number of things wrong with the novel, that it had failed in a number of places, but I had not quite imagined that it had failed at achieving something called African authenticity. In fact, I did not know what African authenticity was. The professor told me that my characters were too much like him, an educated and middle-class man. My characters drove cars. They were not starving. Therefore, they were not authentically African. But I must quickly add that I too am just as guilty on the question of the single story. A few years ago, I visited Mexico from the US. The political climate in the US at the time was tense, and there were debates going on about immigration. And, as often happens in America, immigration became synonymous with Mexicans. There were endless stories of Mexicans as people who were fleecing the healthcare system, sneaking across the border, being arrested at the border, that sort of thing. I remember walking around on my first day in Guadalajara, watching the people going to work, rolling up tortillas in the marketplace, smoking, laughing. I remember first feeling slight surprise, and then I was overwhelmed with shame. I realized that I had been so immersed in the media coverage of Mexicans that they had become one thing in my mind, the abject immigrant. I had bought into the single story of Mexicans, and I could not have been more ashamed of myself. So that is how to create a single story. Show a people as one thing, as only one thing, over and over again, and that is what they become. It is impossible to talk about the single story without talking about power. There is a word, an Igbo word, that I think about whenever I think about the power structures of the world, and it is nkali. It's a noun that loosely translates to be greater than another. Like our economic and political worlds, stories too are defined by the principle of nkali. How they are told, who tells them, when they are told, how many stories are told, are really dependent on power. Power is the ability not just to tell the story of another person, but to make it the definitive story of that person. The Palestinian poet Mourid Barghouti writes that if you want to dispossess a people, the simplest way to do it is to tell their story and to start with secondly. Start the story with the arrows of the Native Americans and not with the arrival of the British, and you have an entirely different story. Start the story with the failure of the African state and not with the colonial creation of the African state, and you have an entirely different story. I recently spoke at a university where a student told me that it was such a shame that Nigerian men were physical abusers like the father character in my novel. I told him that I had just read a novel called American Psycho, and that it was such a shame that young Americans were serial murderers. Now, obviously, I said this in a fit of mild irritation, but it would never have occurred to me to think that just because I had read a novel in which a character was a serial killer, that he was somehow representative of all Americans. And now, this is not because I'm a better person than that student, but because of America's cultural and economic power, I had many stories of America. I had read Tyler, Updike, and Steinbeck, and Gateskill. I did not have a single story of America. When I learned some years ago that writers were expected to have had really unhappy childhoods to be successful, I began to think about how I could invent horrible things my parents had done to me. But the truth is that I had a very happy childhood, full of laughter and love, in a very close-knit family. But I also had grandfathers who died in refugee camps. My cousin, Polly, died because he could not get adequate health care. One of my closest friends, Okoloma, died in a plane crash because our fire trucks did not have water. I grew up under repressive military governments that devalued education so that sometimes my parents were not paid their salaries. And so as a child, I saw jam disappear from the breakfast table. Then margarine disappeared. Then bread became too expensive. Then milk became rationed. And most of all, a kind of normalized political fear invaded our lives. All of these stories make me who I am. But to insist on only these negative stories is to flatten my experience and to overlook the many other stories that formed me. The single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. Of course, Africa is a continent full of catastrophes, the immense ones such as the horrific rapes in Congo and depressing ones such as the fact that 5,000 people apply for one job vacancy in Nigeria. But there are other stories that are not about catastrophe, and it is very important, it is just as important to talk about them. I've always felt that it is impossible to engage properly with a place or a person without engaging with all of the stories of that place and that person. The consequence of the single story is this: it robs people of dignity. It makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult. It emphasizes how we are different rather than how we are similar. So what if before my Mexican trip, I had followed the immigration debate from both sides, the US and the Mexican? What if my mother had told us that Fide's family was poor and hardworking? What if we had an African television network that broadcast diverse African stories all over the world? What the Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe calls a balance of stories. What if my roommate knew about my Nigerian publisher, Mutabaruka, a remarkable man who left his job in a bank to follow his dream and start a publishing house? Now, the conventional wisdom was that Nigerians don't read literature. He disagreed. He felt that people who could read would read if you made literature affordable and available to them. Shortly after he published my first novel, I went to a TV station in Lagos to do an interview. And a woman who worked there as a messenger came up to me and said, "I really liked your novel. I didn't like the ending. Now you must write a sequel, and this is what will happen." And she went on to tell me what to write in the sequel. Now, I was not only charmed, I was very moved. Here was a woman, part of the ordinary masses of Nigerians who are not supposed to be readers. She had not only read the book, but she had taken ownership of it and felt justified in telling me what to write in the sequel. Now, what if my roommate knew about my friend Fumi Yonda, a fearless woman who hosts a TV show in Lagos and is determined to tell the stories that we prefer to forget? What if my roommate knew about the heart procedure that was performed in the Lagos hospital last week? What if my roommate knew about contemporary Nigerian music, talented people singing in English and Pidgin and Igbo and Yoruba and Ijo, mixing influences from Jay-Z to Fela to Bob Marley to their grandfathers? What if my roommate knew about the female lawyer who recently went to court in Nigeria to challenge a ridiculous law that required women to get their husband's consent before renewing their passports? What if my roommate knew about Nollywood, full of innovative people making films despite great technical odds, films so popular that they really are the best example of Nigerians consuming what they produce? What if my roommate knew about my wonderfully ambitious hair braider who has just started her own business selling hair extensions? Or about the millions of other Nigerians who start businesses and sometimes fail but continue to nurse ambition? Every time I am home, I am confronted with the usual sources of irritation for most Nigerians: our failed infrastructure, our failed government, but also by the incredible resilience of people who thrive despite the government rather than because of it. I teach writing workshops in Lagos every summer, and it is amazing to me how many people apply, how many people are eager to write, to tell stories. My Nigerian publisher and I have just started a non-profit called Farafina Trust, and we have big dreams of building libraries and refurbishing libraries that already exist and providing books for state schools that don't have anything in their libraries, and also of organizing lots and lots of workshops on reading and writing for all the people who are eager to tell our many stories. Stories matter. Many stories matter. Stories have been used to dispossess and to malign, but stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break the dignity of a people, but stories can also repair that broken dignity. The American writer Alice Walker wrote this about her southern relatives who had moved to the north, and she introduced them to a book about the southern life that they had left behind. They sat around reading the book themselves, listening to me read the book, and a kind of paradise was regained. I would like to end with this thought, that when we reject the single story, when we realize that there is never a single story about any place, we regain a kind of paradise.
I want to read this to the people them. Connecticut. On Monday, the Waterbury police were called to a popular Jamaican American restaurant in Connecticut after a card game got sour when one of the players fired shots, causing everyone fleeing for their lives, according to the police report. It was reported that reggae entertainer Brigadier Jerry had suspected that someone had stolen his wallet earlier during a card game, left Bertie's West Indian, an American restaurant on North Main Street, and returned with a gun, police said. Officers were called at the Caribbean Eatery at about 11:30 p.m. after the reported gunfire, and reported that the restaurant was closed but found card players inside. All right, this is what them charge him with. Brigadier Jerry arrested in Connecticut after fire and shot inside West Indian restaurant. Brigadier Jerry is now charged with first-degree robbery, first-degree reckless endangerment, illegal discharge of a firearm, carry a pistol without a permit, illegal transfer of a pistol, and altering a serial number on a firearm. Wow! May I tell you? If him go to prison, if him go to jail with all of those charges, that is the end of Brigadier Jerry. Reggae veteran Brigadier Jerry arrested in Connecticut after fire and shot inside West Indian restaurant. You hear them charge, man? First degree robbery. Where them same rob? First degree reckless endangerment, illegal discharge of a firearm, carry a pistol without a permit, illegal transfer of a pistol, and altering a serial number on a firearm. Police were told Robert Russell, aged 62, who goes by the same name Brigadier Jerry, had fired half shot into a wall, sending card players running for the exit. Brigadier then grabbed the cash from his table, then walked out, got into a black BMW car, registered to him, and drove away from the scene. No one was injured in the gunfire, according to police. The Waterbury officers found the black BMW as well as Russell at 272 Hill Street a short time later. They also found a loaded pistol on the south side of the building during their search. Robert Russell, which is Brigadier Jerry, is now charged with first-degree robbery, first-degree reckless endangerment, illegal discharge of a firearm, carry a pistol without permit, illegal transfer of a pistol, and altering a serial number on a firearm. Robert Brigadier Jerry Russell was held on a $250,000 bond. Robert Russell, popularly known as Brigadier Jerry, the General and Brigade, was born in Papine area, Eastern King. Anyway, that is a history of Robert. A history of Robert Russell, Brigadier Jerry. So that is a news just coming to here. We will hear how that will go. I guess tomorrow you're going to hear about it. So, yes, this is the cutting edge on RFM. Here we go. Gang!
Yes, my lord.
How you doing, man?
Just give thanks, you know.
You have to remind me the last time I see you. Someone I see you, I try to remember. England?
Yeah, I think the last time we see each other somewhere in Jamaica, it was some fashion show.
A fashion show, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I repatriated to Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Because that was the reason we did have.
Yeah.
How long now did I Ethiopia?
From 2007.
Okay, and they just come from there, they did somewhere and come here, so?
No, well, I'm going to come for about a year now, up on the road.
When you say up on the road, what do you mean? A tour?
Huh?
When you say up on the road, what do you mean?
Yeah, tour, like from Ethiopia to Europe and then we're in Jamaica and so, yeah.
So when last year did you Ethiopia?
1 year ago.
Okay, that long.
Yeah,
Okay.
about a year ago down now.
Okay, so which part do you live in Ethiopia? Shashamane?
Yeah, Shashamane.
Okay, so I don't know where I'm going. Since I want you know, I don't go down there. That means I don't know where I'm going down there.
As well, you know, the little political
still
in touch with the
new prime minister kind of more sympathetic to the Rastafari group, but you know, the tribal business still. Did it affect the when they down there?
No, man. I mean, don't you know, yesterday Ethiopia for years, even from Majesty time and all of the little situation that go and never affect Rasta before. So, even now, it really affect Rasta. It's just a little political difference are going at the moment with, you know, the Oroma tribe where, you know, for years them really been subdued to just work for Ethiopia, like most likely like the slave backbone of Jamaica. So it's a time now where that tribe will now really come from the front page, put it that way. So that's one of them little things they are going.
So they have a feeling out of a play out in terms of the new president, in terms of the Oroma people, them. They have a feeling out of a play out down there.
Well, with Ethiopia now still, you know, so Ethiopia really a country governed by God. So, but from prophecy, I mean, somewhere then Ezekiel did mention about Egypt. I go through a time, and then it's a shortly after that Ethiopia go bear a great pain. So I guess the time now for that great pain, and then, you know, a fulfillment of prophecy, whatever I go on here right now.
So they have no feeling towards where the eye seems like a play out. But I mean, know about the prophecy thing and them something there, but the reality of where I'm going in Ethiopia now as it relates to now, you know, I mean, the eye have no idea, no feeling about how the eye seems like a play out. Because it's easy for us to say prophecy, but a whole heap of things man did I say a prophecy, and we see say it got different from where the prophecy did I say. So in terms of now, in Ethiopia, they either have no idea of how the I see it play out amongst the people them and the Rastafari community, or they just say why prophecy will work it out.
Well, no man can really predict how how exactly it has a
No, I don't exactly. I mean, say you can't say, well,
you know, it's just a little tension, like all the other tension, where after a time it blow over. Cause this Prime Minister we have, to be honest with you, I mean, so far, him are the best. Where we see, I mean, Melis really set a foundation and set certain thing and acknowledge. So we did it like everybody else did. But this man really come play a part for Rasta when open the door where right now Rasta get them recognition just like native.
Yeah.
And you can hone your land and get your documents just official,
and
you know, after the record like refugee,
and put up a statue
as where it used to be. So now the door really open, and the man opened the door for every people, every tribe, because even the rest of them claim class as the 83rd tribe. So far it was 82 tribe in Ethiopia, and then give we Jomo Kenya. Say we the Rasta, we are Jomo Kenya, so we class as another tribe. So this man really doing good. It's just that every time a good thing happen, you know, sacrifice of the neck. So it's just a time of going through a little sacrifice of whatever. But to what I feel, the ground soon clear. You know, this is my opinion still.
So when do I go forward?
Well, I look forward to going after the January, after the New Year.
Okay.
So maybe February. We're going and things.
So where do I go? Where do I do down there on a daily basis? Like, I know I as an artist still, but I still make music or that word. Yeah, man,
me have a new album out that take me on the road. We have a new album out named Repatriation from the Irish level, French level.
Yeah.
And it the globally upon all of the music media and network and everything. And you know, so we still work musically when we done them. We have my little so-called farm. I mean, nothing big, but cultivate my own little vineyard and thing. And otherwise, I'm that my wife run a little cosmetic shop in the town and things. So
my wife is an Ethiopian.
Yeah.
So I don't record it. I have a studio there where I go record.
Yeah, man, studio there and everything, you know. It's just the eye them missing, you know.
Me know studio down there. Me know studio down there. Me ask if the eye have a studio down there.
I personally have a studio myself, but many studio there where
me know a studio there. Me go a studio down there already. Me go a studio down there. All right, so I still record down there and I still a tour all over the place and all them really.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that good, you know. That good because trust me, I come from far. You know them days there. Like I want to remind the people them about the self when they did there and the times them where they did really kick up rumpus in Jamaica.
Well, you don't know, just the original King Kong CM were from Nitty-Gritty Tennis at the CM King Kong. Someone step in my corn and never tell me sorry. You know, you see him trouble again and the world is get, you know. Yeah, and we done come live and learn the way. So we take the footsteps of Marcus Garvey and really see repatriation is the most important thing for I and I. So we repatriate and, you know, settle down and have a home and it's a great nice energy, you know.
And they talk American thing.
Well, Tinish little bit, Tinish, you know, little, because, you know, me come every CM way, but me try my best to go through.
All right, so they are affiliated with any of the group, them down there, like 12 Tribe, Bobo, or anything like that?
Yeah, because I am under the 12 Tribe member, you know, okay. So I'm affiliated to the 12 Tribe, but yeah, I affiliated.
Yeah. And what kind of vibes am I going with down there now? I mean,
well, it's just like Jamaica, maybe a little bit worse than Jamaica with the liberty. As in Bobo, Bingi, Orthodox, 12 tribe, and many more nomination are Rasta. So, as a youth, when I'm on forward, Ethiopia, me did have the more, genuine togetherness that we have as Rasta, but the people them segregate. Some of them not like Bobo, some Bobo them not like Bingi, some Bingi them not like 12 tribe, just like the same thing also. So if a man never did like you for a man, and he not like you, and go that friend your way not like you too, cause him friend not like you. So because of these segregation, it's really put up a lot of fight for over 50 years or 60 years or Rasta daddy. Them still never get certain things done to the fullness, as in putting together the mission with the government and thing, because everybody wants to be the leader for this situation. So you find the Bobo go to the government with the cars, the Bingi go with the cars, the 12 tribe go with the cars, the Ethiopian world go with the cars. So you have 4 or 5 different members from 4 different organs going to the government for the release or the freedom for the massive 4 different people with the same thing. So the government be confused, run them back all the while, so they get themselves organized and things. So this time, I think, God is on the side. So this time, this government, really look on some of the issues and say, yeah, this is free up, this is free up, this is free up. So, on some case, it's good, but the people still need to unite together. Because as a youth, I man tell them that what I see the Bobo as a spiritual entry, all of the Bingi, the 12 tribe as a spiritual thing. So the political side is not for you. So all the O should really join the Ethiopian World Federation and give it the momentum and the power with 1 million or 2 million members to move forward to say this is our cause. So the Ethiopian World Federation should be the political wing for I, all the Rasta entity. We'll fight for the cause, but everybody want to do it. So this is the problem. It's like Granny would answer, too much rat can't dig one hole, so that really did a go on, and the massive that is missing, which is the item when I really forward in yet, that really slow up the process, because the more we are together, the happier and the stronger thing is. So until we, centralize ourselves together, then, yeah.
All right, well, give thanks, brethren. Give thanks to you from there, Because me I say, it's a long time, nobody hear the voice or the music.
Yeah, and to the artists, them too, that's one of the main thing, because God really create these set of people for himself. Players and singers, God make them for himself. That means them in a God army. Truly and truly, we go there to please others, and then we continue doing that and shut the hype on the master. So my mission where Selassie I send I back out on the road, because when I did that Shashamani, I never had a look so I even come back to the West, because I really, But for some reason the man say I have to go up on the road, and I say I'm really that man where I have to go up on the road, but I mean the man I say you have to go up on the road, and the mission really to wake up artists, and players, because he give us a momentum and a thing to deal with. When we were in poverty, we called to him, and now that we are more wealthy and comfortable, we no longer seems to care about the cause. And that's what now happening, where we are get flagged with many strive, for the goodness of the soul, the body I get chastised, because when you now provide the work where you have to do, other things come in place, and so for the players and singers right now, even if we're not up on the mission to go or we're not ready, we shouldn't start set up some kind of infrastructure for some situation.
Yeah, I tour other part of Africa.
We're joking with the thing right now.
Yeah, I tour the other part of Africa.
No, really only South Africa. I go South Africa, Kenya, Israel, so far. But you know, really tried,
most of Europe. Most of Europe, there I go.
Yeah, well, only Europe really show me some love in the last, you know, so the whole of Europe really, I mean, I could say not boasting, but me tour almost every country in every state. That means if I 53 country in France, we think we do the 50 of them. And so
it's nice if I could have tour in Africa still, you know what I mean? I find some most reggae artists who, you know, a tour, it's mostly Europe, them I go tour, and I get, you know, it's like...
Because Europe, I get the work. I mean, nobody in Africa now send for it, because, you know, them send for some people, but, you know what I mean? So, that's the thing, the whole thing gets segregated.
No, but them send for me, and them send for other artists still. Me go Africa nowadays more than I go Europe. You know, I find myself in Africa 2-3 times for the year, but it's a thing still, you know, it's just by your mindless still. Anyway, give thanks, brethren. Give thanks here from the eye.
I
agree.
Mankind better get just trouble again, and the world is getting nervous. Worries again. Mankind better conscious. Trouble again, and the world is getting nervous. Alright now, worries again. Mankind better conscious. Hey, the blood's like a shot and the crips.
I was talking to King Kong. You know, King Kong now resides in Ethiopia. Yes, and him is coming through. Yes. Alchemic. Okay, here we go. So, we'll talk about the culture expression and where the culture there. Because we have two opposing cultures in Jamaica right now. When I talk about the other one, because it's the two most influential culture, especially amongst young people and other people too. And we was able to give the people them of the world where them call religion, a new music, and a new cultural expression. And the only thing I go now, we have to look really straight ahead and figure it out. You have to figure it out. You know? People who recognize themselves as African and really go into it. I not just say it. I talk about going into it. Not just, yeah, I'm African and done. No, you're African and you have a responsibility. You know, see, there's a responsibility that going with that. It's not a political responsibility and not a religious responsibility. It's an affirmation of self. You know them say, know thyself. When you know yourself, is a step ahead of the game, you know. Yeah, knowing yourself is knowing who you are in the universe and in the scheme of things and what is your mission. And you have people who take up certain mission upon them head where it's not of themselves, but because they are in an environment and a community, they are pressured, not forceful, pressured into becoming what they are not and living out other people understanding of self. Yes, whole heap of people live out other people understanding of self. So we look on the road and we see it every day. We look in at the bank, we look in at everywhere. Everywhere we go, we see people that live out an illusion that is not them. Most people in Jamaica live a life that is not of their. Well, them want to say them choose it, but is it choose them? A whole lot of people want to say, yeah, me I do, me want to do it. Like me wear, me want to wear and go, me want to go and eat, me want to eat. But no go so. Because you're in an environment where decide most of the time for you, unless it's one of them go through the crack. So you decide where you're going to go eat today, not because you can't afford certain things, you eat that. But what you're going to eat today, you eat it. What you're going to wear today, you go off of your own volition and wear what you want to wear, not where it's trending. And if you don't have on what is trending, it means, boy, you're not saying nothing. Fashion. Only people put fashion over style. And supposed to be the other way around. Supposed to be a style over fashion. Because some people don't understand what style is. You know, see, them prefer fashion. And some people, most of the things that them need, them beg it. And most of the things that them want, them go buy it. So you find, say, them buy what them want and beg what them need. So them never have what them need. Because most of the time when them are beg it, them can't get it. But them can afford it, you know, but them don't want to buy it, what them can afford. And that is the problem, especially amongst African people. We can afford to do certain things, but we don't want to do it. We prefer beg what is important to beg it. That's why I say people are run with politicians and run behind politicians, so because them feel them get something from politician. And likewise the preacher. People go to church because them want something from the preacher. Because them feel the preacher have a connection, direct connection to someone who them feel say is the power of all powers. But when you look on them situation in life and how them a live, it not get no better. And them pray and pray and pray, and them just say the prayer now work. Them just a pray, keep praying because faith comfort them. Sometimes it is very comfortable to believe in something. And even if there's something not working for you, you hope that it will work, and that gives you a certain sense of false security. False security. Some people spend their whole life in this false security of belief. Whole life. And them don't recognize how detrimental it is, not only to them, but people around them. And that is what is happening to the African people today. It is happening because we have this false sense of comfort. False sense of suffering is better than knowing that you're not suffering. It's like, you know, you ever hear some people say, me don't want to get rich, me don't want to have enough. What is enough? And some people actually say, boy, rich people have more problem than poor people. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Just like I don't know about when I dead what will happen or what happened. But people sure, you have some people sure, so them know what happened to you when you're dead. Even though them don't know, have no one who dead or them never did it to come back, come tell you, but them sure. So when you tell us, when people say, well, I don't know what happened when you're dead. I never speculate, but I know say there so right now. And if I ever do everything where I do alive when I dead, what is the purpose of that then? If I can't do everything when I dead, where I don't know, what is the purpose of that? So African people, most of us living in a deluded sense of hope. We hope that this is going to happen. And more, as I say, most of us spend our whole life a hope for this and hope for that. Salvation and all these things where everybody talk about, you know, yes, Jesus Christ and all these things where great grandmothers sit down and wait, and the grandmothers. Some people find solace in these thinking. It's not no wrong if you find solace in it and it make you feel comfortable. But how long we gonna live and feel comfortable in an illusion? Cause we don't like white people. White people say Jesus and know how to use it. We still not figure out how to use it. Cause every time we start to use it, we either oppress with thinking, oppress with self, or oppress other people with it. Which is that white people are doing at their first place. Them use it to lift up themselves, but them use it also to oppress others. When we have it, we don't even know how to use it. So we preach it and we pray to it and all these things, and we're still in the same situation and conviction. The same conviction where we find ourselves in today is the same conviction we find ourselves in tomorrow, and no change. Look how white people use them religion. White people use them religion to advance themselves and to keep down others. That is what them do. So today them tell you about all these, the world are going to end, the world are going to end. Meanwhile, them have built the highest skyscrapers and the biggest buildings. Satisfy themselves. Yes, cutting edge.
Hello, Muta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see no Muta. I have a little problem now, Muta.
You have a little problem?
Yeah.
What the problem?
You live a 45 Padmore Drive, you half more line.
You know what?
You live a 45 Padmore Drive, half more line, you see?
Yeah.
I want to see the 6th of June, 11 o'clock, from Archive Brother Drive and look out my wall.
Eh?
Yeah. I'm going to the police station and give me people to go up ICII. That's an insurance, you see? I think $7 I have for my credit in the month. And when time I go to them say they must send somebody come check it out. And I know nobody will come check it out.
How long ago you said that happened?
The 6th of June.
June?
Yeah.
So how much time you go to them?
I don't full time go to them, man. I call them, give me a letter. I people say, I call them, I call them.
You take a picture? You take a picture?
Eh?
You take a picture of it?
Yeah, I take a picture of it. But I look at the picture of the boy, and I live in a cock in the night, and I see the gun, them have gun out there. And I see me just take the picture of the van.
No, I mean take a picture of the wall where them lick out. Take a picture of the wall.
Yeah, and the van did upon it.
No, me ask if you take a picture of the wall where them lick out.
Yeah, man.
Alright, so you need to carry go a lie, you know.
If you choose the money low, man.
No, the money not low. Yeah, wait no man. Why every time when you say liar, people talk about money low? Them have liar. Wait no man, them have liar where you can't go to go deal with it without.
I want to take it up strongly.
Eh?
You see, you get the free law, then you now defend it strongly, Muta.
Oh, you know. Alright, so what you want to do then? Tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, more them come fix the thing.
Yeah, but how you going to on the radio and I say it, and me I try suggest what you do and you tell me say, them not, the liar, them not going to deal with it strongly. So who going to deal with it?
See?
No, so when you say it on the radio, no, what you expect to happen? Hello? Oh, I'm quite done. I don't understand when a man complain on the radio and you suggest something to him to do. And him a shun what you are say, but him still a say what him a say on the radio, and I mean where him expect to happen on the radio? Cause call me and I suggest something to him, I say go get a lie, I tell him say the liar money. Him not no money, and then when I tell him say the liar now go strong. I mean, you have liars where you can't go to, brethren. You have liars where you can't go to. You need to go see a liar. Cause more than likely the liar could tell you say you have a case, you can't get money from them and use the money and pay the liar too. Cause you have liars who steal away there too. You have liars who steal away them, take up your case and say boy it can't lose. And them know say why if you get $100,000, I'm going to take $20,000 out of it or $30,000 out of it. So, may I suggest that to you, and you tell me, say, I'm not going to deal with this. Then, what you expect to happen? What you expect to happen? You know, I suggest that you go see a lawyer. You know, you have liars will deal with them something there. Will you put them down Duke Street? I can't suggest one to you, so no. Maybe if I think hard enough, I will remember two where I can send you to, but that is what I suggest. I can't say nothing else. I can't say nothing else. You take a picture of the wall, you say yes. So you carry to the lawyer to look at. This is where the archive people, them look up my wall, and from June, I not get no compensation fee. And the wall they're there. So, yeah. That's a straightforward thing. At least it looks straightforward to me, because I know the wall move go over there. So to I know the wall, the van, the guards man, the archive man, them lick your wall. So that look like a straightforward thing that they must fix the wall. You go to them and you know from them, so you have to take the next case, you go to a lawyer. And so me see it, I don't know you see it. This is the cutting edge, and I refer me there with you. Okay, I could so supposed to do that so now. I could so supposed to do that so now. Okay. Alright, so we want to play this to the people them. Yes, we want to play this to the people them. Here goes. Here goes.
The hackle. Respect the hackle. This is Mariah. She's a master wig maker whose skill and expertise has made her a celebrity favorite. This is what they do after they cut it off the ponytail to get that shorter hair out. She painstakingly sews each wig by hand in a process that can take months to complete and cost as much as $15,000. Close it off, and then there you go. And how you tie it determines the way the hair flows and falls and parts. She knows everything there is to know about hair, except for one thing. Where does most of the hair being sold in the industry come from? I try to source from people who I know where it's coming from, but I don't know. As Refinery 29's senior beauty editor, I've been on set for dozens of shoots and interviewed hundreds of hairstylists. Nearly every one of their kits holds the same things: flat irons, curling irons, brushes, product, and hair. But Hollywood's best-kept secret is far from new. Both Black and Orthodox Jewish communities have openly worn hair for generations. But it's just now that the popularity has exploded into the mainstream. Celebrities have opened up on social media about wearing human hair, revealing just how common wigs and extensions are on the red carpet and in everyday life. Extensions have really pushed the hair trade up. People want things that are disposable. They just want long hair today, and that's that. There's something intimate and uncanny about wearing the hair of another person. It can transform the way you look, but at what cost? Close your eyes. I couldn't help but wonder who this hair once belonged to. It's difficult to trace the origin of much of the hair on the market. It's no surprise, because the hair trade has always been shady. For centuries, hair brokers have used any means necessary to get their hands on hair. In the 1800s, peasant women in France were lured into being shorn like sheep. In the early 1900s, it was reported that hair sold in the States was coming from sewers and corpses in China. Hair dealers were thought to be so shady, they were banned from Ellis Island. Controversy continued into the 21st century, as reported by CNN.
She lost 8 inches of hair. From the robber's perspective, it's quick and relatively easy money.
One constant in all of this is that the hair trade sets up shop wherever women are the most disenfranchised. And the people who end up wearing the hair are often unaware of the journey it took to get to them.
Most people do not know where their hair comes from, and I don't think they care.
Rika Hales, the founder of a hair extension salon in Los Angeles, didn't particularly care either until she got scammed.
I had already lost $10,000. I couldn't afford to lose any more. They had these great pictures. They tell you how it's going to perform. They sell you on a dream. That's the issue with it.
Rika went on a hair buying trip to try to get some answers.
You want to know if all the hair in Malaysia is really coming from Malaysia.
She traveled across 6 countries and found the lack of regulation in America and around the world makes it hard to guarantee what you're getting.
Push it. There you go.
Oh, it fried
the hair.
I can smell it. It smells like, what is that? Is that burnt hair or is that plastic?
That's plastic.
Plastic, mixed with what's known as fallen hair. It's the cheapest tier of human hair, collected from salon floors, hairbrushes, and drains. The hair is detangled, processed with chemicals, coated with silicone, and sometimes mixed with synthetic and animal hair. While okay for some uses, it's a less expensive version of a higher quality, more elusive hair. Virgin Remy.
So everybody's secretive about where their hair actually comes from. That's where the hair broker makes his money. Remy, okay, you do it.
Passing off non-Remy hair as Remy is just one of the many tactics of hair dealers. Where do you get your hair from now?
I get my hair from India.
Widely considered to be one of the most ethical places to source hair, Hindu temples are a crucial part of the industry. Every year, millions of devout followers travel to temples like this one, the Sri Venkateshwara Temple in the southern state of Andhra Pradesh. It's the most visited Hindu temple in the world, and perhaps the most lucrative. Here, devotees shave their hair as an offering to the gods, which becomes an easy revenue source for the temple, bringing in more than $7 million per year. It's a practice that provides a constant supply of cheap, high-quality hair. But it's not for everyone. For some, matching specific textures and colors is worth paying top dollar for. Blonde, red, wavy, coily. The more niche the hair is, the more expensive and harder it is to source, making this type of hair prime for exploitation. After months of back and forth, only one of them agreed to show us their operation. We set out to Vietnam to meet him. Vietnam is in a moment of major transition. With one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, its growth is a mix of opportunity and exploitation. Hairstylists here have been known to offer women next to nothing for their hair, or offer them what sounds like a good rate, only to disappear before payment. Even though Dan agreed to meet us, I still had no idea what to expect or how legitimate his operation would be.
Hi. The way other companies operate, everything is going to be under the radar. Some of the women that we've bought hair from, they've been scammed before. We're trying to be different than everybody else.
Dan's mission is to make his company, Remy New York, one of the first ethical and totally transparent companies.
Our dyed hairs, so we do have different varieties.
This is so exciting.
Colors. Yeah.
Really cool. You have short ones too.
Sure.
Were to come to you and want to cut her hair, but she has short hair, you would still buy it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
We try not to turn away anybody, just because everybody needs help. So this one is going to be one of our long ones. This one is pure virgin Remy. You can feel the softness of it.
In my 6 years in the beauty industry, I had never seen hair like this.
Amazing, right?
Oh my gosh, this is so long. This level of high quality hair isn't something you can fake. And as soon as I saw Dan's hair, I knew he was doing something right. But he invited us out to see for ourselves. Dan travels across the region to buy hair in person and at a fair rate. Here in the countryside, having long hair is still an important sign of femininity. Hi.
Ciao.
Hi. How are you?
Ciao.
For Win T Twee, it's a promise of a better future.
Gia đình khó khăn rồi kiếm thêm chút đỉnh tiền để xoay sở trong gia đình.
Will you miss your long hair?
Rất là nhớ mái tóc này lắm. Nó rất đẹp, mượt. Coi như là mái tóc này là một lát nữa cắt đi là mình rất là buồn. Không biết mình nghĩ cái mái tóc ngắn mình như thế nào nữa. Tóc này á, là cũng nhiều người họ đến hỏi lắm rồi nhưng mà không bán, trả rất là thấp.
Because for the previous times they only offer about $2 or $3 for her hair.
That's like actually criminal.
Cái chú này đến hỏi là trả giá cao cho nên đồng ý bán.
It hits home that the hair trade starts with women like Twee. Behind many of these wigs and extensions is a woman making the tough choice to sell her hair to better her life. Dan zip ties Twee's hair to avoid tangling and to keep it all in the same direction after it's been cut.
It looks beautiful. I think you look beautiful. You look young and fresh and really pretty. Will you tell her that?
Này nói cho anh cắt tóc xong tóc cô rất là trẻ trung, rất dễ thương hơn.
Dude, yeah. How are you feeling?
Cô cảm giác sao bây giờ sao rồi?
Thì cũng rất thích.
Dan paid Twee a little over $100. The money is more than a month's worth of living expenses for her entire family, enough to buy livestock that will bring a new income stream for years to come. Dan's rates are not only unheard of, they have the potential to change lives. It's a mission Dan's taking across the country. From a woman who wants to use the money to put her son through swim lessons for the first time, to another who needs to pay for books and tuition at school next semester, and even a woman who wants to advance herself through the trade.
You know, there's no shortage of hair companies in the world, but there's no companies that want to make a difference, that want to change lives. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I know that nobody else will, and nobody else has.
While it's still the early days for Dan's company, a lot of eyes are on him to see if Remy New York can be a new standard within the industry.
What does an ethical supply chain for hair look like? It sort of looks like fair trade. This guy in Vietnam, he's transparent, and the girls are getting something in return that's extremely valuable. You have to make an effort to understand where the hair is coming from, do your research, make sure that the women it's coming from are getting a wage. I think that's how change happens.
Hair can be more empowering than we ever thought possible. For the women who wear it, and those who use it to create businesses that enrich their communities, but also for the women who sell it to better their lives and the lives of their families. A fair trade, transparent supply chain can leave everyone better off. That is, if the industry allows it and the customers demand it.
Dean Fraser, say, we will hear again from 2 to 5:45 with the Stepping Razor, the Art of War.